bum 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 ba da da dum bum bum ba dum ba ba dum dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba da da dum bum 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 ba da dum da 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 dum ba dum bum ba dum ba da dum ba da 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 dun 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 bum ba da dum ba dun 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 ba dum ba da dum ba dun 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 bum ba dum bum bum bum. Hello, my friends. Hello, everyone. I see everyone on Facebook, and I see my Mighties, Joette's Mighty members. Hello, Mighty members. It's so wonderful to see you all, and those of you who are on Facebook. And we're also on Rumble and YouTube and X. And of course, always, as always, my Mighty members. It's so wonderful to see you. My name is Joette Calabrese, and we are here every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And we do one thing and one thing only, and that is we study homeopathy. I teach you what I know, and I hope that you absorb it, and I hope that you integrate it into your life so that you have freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from drugs, freedom from angst because you don't know what to do, freedom from worry about the next disease, and freedom from costs. You bet. You bet. This is the way. Practical homeopathy is the way, my friends. And so I'm so glad you're here to connect with me tonight. And so I'm going to say hello to a few people before we get started. I thought I saw, hello, Eileen, greetings from the little house in the big woods. Hello, mightiest, Tammy says from Montauk, Ohio. Hello, everyone. Hello, Lawrence. Hello from Central New York. And Geneseo. Oh, someone says they went to Geneseo. Very good to be here. Hello from Texas and Maine and Michigan and Florida. And where else are we? Ohio. Lots of Ohioans here. Hello from Iowa and Ohio again and Arizona and Connecticut. And I won't say too many names, but Ontario. Hello from Ontario. Hello, Ontario and Pennsylvania. Carpentersville, Illinois. Thank you, Lisa. Knoxville, Tennessee, and Michigan, and Vancouver, and Pittsburgh, and East Texas, and Lynn Haven, Florida. I don't know where Lynn Haven, Florida is. Hello from Florida and Canada. BC, Florida. British Columbia, Florida. Wonderful. Ontario. Great to see you all. More. Alberta, Canada. Australia. Hello from sunny Australia, says Tara. Tara, you're here every week. It's so wonderful to see you. Virginia, Oklahoma. Thank you, my friends, for joining us. It's great to see you. Remember to like and share and comment and subscribe. It really builds this community. And I don't want you to take this lightly, my friends. This work that we are doing here together is monumental. This is a movement. This is more than simply, some information on coughing. Practical homeopathy, homeopathy in general, and more specifically practical homeopathy, where I give you the protocols, the names of the medicines, the potencies and the frequencies for specific conditions. This is a movement. It is moving fast. Homeopathy is moving fast. It's a runner-up to Chinese medicine, and just below us in terms of usage in the world is conventional medicine. Yes, my friends, more people use homeopathy than conventional, synthetic, commerce, drugs of commerce. Yes, my friends, there are more. Do I have something? Yes, I do have a little spot on me, don't I? Thank you. All righty. Cough, cough, cough. Let's talk about it. Because coughs, colds, and flus can be very difficult to come up with the right remedy for. And the reason is it's because it's different for everyone. It's very rare that we see a whole household of 5 people who are suffering and they all have exactly the same symptoms. They may all have a cough, but one cough has got yellow sputum, another cough is gagging, another cough only arises after laying down in bed, another cough is dry, another cough causes pain, burning in the chest. You see the difference? There are many different, some people have fever with it, the concomitants, another person may have nausea or vomiting with it. You see how it's complicated, whereas it's a little different when it's when it's other conditions, such as eczema is a little easier and acne is a little easier, etc. But when it comes to coughs, colds, and flus, it does become a little complicated because I believe that really what we're dealing with coughs, colds, and flus is we're dealing with a cleansing. We're getting something out. Something is off, something is out of balance, and we're getting it out of the system. So when people say, well, you know, I was really sick 2 weeks ago. I had a fever and I was tremendous fatigue and my bones were aching. My joints, I could barely move them and my legs were restless. I couldn't get sleep at night and I'm rubbing my feet together in the bed and it's just, I'm so chilled and then I'm hot and I'm chilled and then I'm hot. And then that passes and the fatigue is pretty much melted away. The cold and the coldness and the heat and all of that is much improved. The aches and pains are mostly gone. And what remains? The cough. Now, if the cough, and I've said this many times, so please bear with me, but if the cough, I'll get closer. If the cough is pathological, meaning the person cannot sleep at all, or the cough appears to be going to bronchitis or pneumonia. Now we have to look at it differently. But if what the cough is doing is just clearing out the mucus that's been draining from the sinuses, from the throat, if it's just cleaning it out, or it's maddening because it's dripping, post-nasal type drip, then that is not necessarily something that we need to be concerned about. The coughs that we're most concerned about are those that are truly problematic, not that they're long-lasting, meaning an extra week or 2 after the initial illness. We're talking about common colds and coughs. We're not really talking about pneumonia or bronchitis here because those are a different category. But because that is something that needs to be addressed more carefully with more specific medicines. But if we're talking about just a cough, then let's go into some of the coughs. Now, we went over some last week, so if you missed it, you can certainly watch it again or watch it for the first time. You can watch it in our, it's there forever, YouTube, as I said, and Rumble and Facebook, etc. So I'm going to look in my Materia Medica. This is my Materia Medica, and you can purchase this. These are my tabs so I can go to the medicines we're going to be talking about tonight. And this is a very simple Materia Medica. It's intended to be simple. It's not very complex. It's not very complicated. It's intended to make the decision easy, super easy. And it's also for someone who is just starting in homeopathy or has other Materia Medicas but wants to use this kind of as a quick reference guide so that they don't have to commit to something as laborious and useful as this Materia Medica, which is by Robin Murphy. So you can see the difference. It's quite heavy, quite thick, very in-depth. Love it. But I'm going to be working from this one. And if you are interested in this, you can certainly go to Joette's Learning Center and order it there. But let's talk. The first medicine I want to talk about tonight is Ipecac. We talked about it last time, but I want to mention it one more time. I think we talked about it last time. It's for a cough. And I'm going to look in my Ipecac place here. It's for a cough that is often gagging. It's with difficult phlegm. I'm looking at some of my notes here too. It's for breathlessness and also vomiting from the gagging. So it could take some of the cough is so overwhelming that it could bring the person to not only gagging but actually vomiting. It can also be for someone who has a cough in which there is nausea as a concomitant. It doesn't have to be caused by the cough, but it can be actually the part of the cough. There's a shortness of breath in this medicine as well. So it is one of those medicines that is indicated most frequently when the cough is cough, 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 cough. Cough, 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 cough. So there's a kind of relentlessness to it. It's not particularly barky. It's not particularly strained, but it is worse from movement. So it seems as though the more the person coughs, because that's a sort of movement, isn't it? The more there is coughing. And it's very important during coughing fits. Now, during a coughing fit, as well as expecting a coughing fit. In other words, if the person has been coughing for some time and they are coughing fits, automatically I want you to think of ipecac. If during there's an event of coughing fits, it can also be administered. Now, that's a hard thing to do, isn't it? If someone's going to be putting pills in their mouths, hard sucrose pills in their mouths, then it could, they could inhale it. You don't want that. So in that case, what you would do is either wait for the event to end, if it's going to, because sometimes it seems like it's endless, or you put it in, you buy it in a lactose pill, which means that it will dissolve instantly in the mouth. I mean, the moment it touches any liquid, the saliva in the mouth, it will melt instantly. And you put those 4 pills in the mouth. And I would put them in the mucosal area between the gum and the inner lip. Or this is one of those times when you can, if you must, put it in water and spray it. Yes, my friends, you can even spray it on the person if they can't seem to get it in their mouth. Their mouth is too busy collecting air in order to be able to complete this coughing jag that they're experiencing. So how would you do that? You'd put a dose of the Ipecac 30 is what I would use, Ipecac 30, and put it in water, like about 2 or 3 ounces. Wait for it to dissolve. You might want to mash it up a little bit, get it to dissolve, stir it once or twice, and then spray it or put a couple drops into the between the lips and the gums. And now, how often would you use that? I would use it pretty frequently. I would use it if you had to, every few minutes for a while until the person can calm down. Now, this kind of a cough is that difficulty getting, and that constriction and the gagging and the relentless coughing can also be a representation of a cough around asthma. So whether it is asthmatic or it is just a garden variety cough that comes at certain times of the year, Ipecac is your medicine, and it's in a 30th potency. Beautiful medicine. I've used it many, many times, and the full word for Ipecac is Ipecacuanha, 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 but it's known as simply Ipecac. I'm on page, for those who are following me, I am in my Materia Medica, I'm on page 75. All righty, let's go on to this next medicine. The next medicine I want to talk about is Spongia. Spongia toasta. Spongia toasted is actually a sponge from the ocean that's been toasted. I know. Don't ask. Okay? Just that we don't have time. Don't ask. So Spongia toasted. And it is a very specific kind of a cough. It is a barking cough, like croup. People often don't know exactly what croup is. Croup is a very specific sound. It sounds like the bark of a dog or a seal. Har, har. Very deep, unproductive. You don't hear the mucus. It's it's alarming. The sound is so deep and strange, and it's particularly alarming when you hear it in a child or a baby. And so Spongia tosta is often our medicine. It's with the cough with dry air passages, and it's barking, hacking type, and I'm on page 115 of My Materia Medica, and it is one of our best medicines for croup. It is the second medicine I consider for croup. First one is aconitum, but that's a whole different scenario right now, and I have written about it on my blog. So if your child, it's usually a childhood illness, if your child is prone to croup, or you want to know more about it just to be protected against a problem with croup, then go to my blog and Joette Calabrese croup. And I talk about it very specifically and exactly how to deal with a croup cough. It sounds dangerous, my friends. It's rarely dangerous, particularly if you have homeopathy. But you must have the medicines. I was helping a friend the last couple of days, and the frustration for him and for me was that he didn't have the medicines needed. I believed that what he needed at the time was Nux vomica, and he simply didn't have it. He had cold calm, he had some other medicines, all good medicines, but what he needed, and that's what I was saying earlier, it's very individualized when it comes to a cold and a cough. So I believe what he needed was Nux vomica. I think it would have turned him around on a dime. But so you have to own these medicines if you want to use these medicines. Don't wait until you get sick to try to find them, because illness often comes at night, and that means you're going to have to find a place that carries these medicines. So get yourself a good selection of medicines. I talk about the medicines that one should own on my blog. We're going through a whole list of medicines. Which medicines are the ones you should own? And I think we started this series about 2 or 3 months ago. We start with this medicine and how important it is for you to own, and the next medicine. These medicines are medicines that you must own, and then I go through each one of them and why you should own them and what they are used for. Now we have another, I would use Ipecac or Spongia in a 30. And now let's go to another 2 medicines. Now these medicines I'm linking together because they have something in common. What they have in common is yellow mucus. Now, they're not the only ones, but they are commonly associated with coughs that have yellow mucus, and that is pulsatilla and Kali sulf. Kali is Kali, sulf, Sulph, and pulsatilla is spelled Pulsatilla. I'm sure someone will write it all down for you in a moment. So, it can be a yellow mucus, and it can then, sometimes when it's older mucus, say the person has been sleeping all night and then they wake up in the morning and they start coughing. Now it's often green, and then it turns yellow as the day progresses because they're up and it's getting cleared from the sinuses, wherever it might be, the throat, and the chest. So let's start with pulsatilla. Often it is, as I said, yellowish or greenish, and it's worse in a warm room. They are not comfortable in a warm room. The cough is worse in a warm room. You see these differences, my friends? They're better if they can be in open air. They like the window open, or they like the fan on. They like wind. Pulsatilla is called windflower. Now, that's not the reason necessarily that they like wind, but it's a great association, so you can remember that. Pulsatilla is called windflower, and it is for people who have a cough in which it's yellow or green or yellow and green, and they hate the warm, stuffy room. They need that fresh air, and they're coughing. And it's also a great remedy for a cough when associated with measles. Now, we don't hear much about measles. Everybody thinks it's deadly. Ridiculous. I'm a measles survivor, and so is my brother, and so was everyone in my neighborhood, and everyone in my school, and everyone in my parish. We're all measles survivors. It's not deadly. Can it be deadly? Listen, Driving a car can be deadly. There are many things that can be deadly. I'm sorry, measles is a common, everyday childhood illness that we all got over. Can someone die? Someone can die. Someone can die from a common cold. I don't know if you know that. Yes, you can die from the common cold. Yep. So let's not go with being afraid of a disease when it has been noted for generations that children have been just fine with it. But let's say someone gets measles and they have a cough. The medicine is pulsatilla. And what would we use? I would use a 30th potency once again. Yep, I would use that again. We're going to probably cover all of these in a 30th potency. Now, let's talk about Cali-Sulf, because it's similar to pulsatilla in the color of the mucus. Not always is the color of the mucus noteworthy or even seen. Often the cough doesn't come up far enough to be able to see what's going on in the mucosal membranes. Okay, Cali-Sulf. This is with an expectoration that is very thick yellow phlegm, and it rattles in the chest. I'm on page, what page am I on? On page 80, Cali-Sulf. And Cali-Sulf also has a stuffiness. It can have stuffiness in the ears that's associated with this or not associated with this. It's a stuffiness in the nose, in the sinuses, and it has, as I said, a rattly mucus. And there can also be a wheeze. What's a wheeze? It's kind of a squeak that comes on inhalation or exhalation. Usually it's inhalation, but we hear wheezes on the exhalation as well. And it's difficult to expectorate. So when the expectoration comes, and we note the color of the mucus and there's stuffiness, etc., then we can consider Cali-Sulf, and we can use that in a 30th potency. Now, Cali-Sulf happens to be a cell salt, a tissue salt. And so some people may have Cali-Sulf in a 6X or a 6C, and I think it would be just as useful to use that as well. Let's see what else I can tell you about this beautiful medicine. It's a great medicine. There is a yellowishness in this medicine on other levels as well. When there is when there's acne, the acne, there can be actually yellowishness to the acne. There can be a scaliness of the skin that is yellowish, and that is also can also be Cali-Sulf. So Cali-Sulf is a good choice for yellow coughs and yellow characteristics. Okay, let us go to the next medicine, and we'll see if I've got, I don't know that I'm going to cover Rumex. Somebody's asking about that. First I want to go to the next medicine, which is Hipersulf, and I'll tell you what page I'm on. Hipersulfuricum calcarea. I didn't mark this one. Here it is, Hipersulfuricum, page 69 in my Materia Medica. Okay, this medicine is not only wonderful for sore throats and ear infections and many other kinds of conditions like that, but it's a very specific medicine for bronchitis. And sometimes we don't even know that it's bronchitis, but let's say someone is prone to bronchitis and they've got a cough and you don't want it to go into bronchitis. This could be the medicine. Now, it doesn't mean we use this to protect someone from getting bronchitis if they're not prone to it. We want to know that the person is indeed prone to it so that we can justify the use of Hipersulfuricum calcarea, or better known as Hipersulf. I love this medicine in a 30th potency. There's a tendency to have a sensation of a stick or something sharp in the throat. That can be made worse from the cough, or it can be independent of the cough, that sensation. That the mucus is tenacious. They are worse in cold air. Let's see what else we've got here. It is one of our good medicines also for croup. So I want you to think about that as well. And yes, cold, dry wind can cause sneezing along with a runny nose. And this is regularly followed by thick mucus. Often the mucus is foul. So there can be a foul odor to it as well. Why is that? Well, sulfur, all of the sulfur medicines, sulfuricum, calcarea, all of the sulfur medicines generally have a foul odor to them. So I want you to remember that. Warmth can relieve this pain or can relieve even the cough. So if drinking a nice warm cup of tea or some bone stock is very comforting to someone who needs Hepar sulfuricum calcarea, otherwise known as Hepar sulf. Let's see what kind of questions we have coming in now. People are still saying hello here. Hello, hello, Connecticut and Pennsylvania and Australia. And let's see, hello, everyone. Virginia. Ipecac looks for relentless choking. Yep, choking coughs, yes, has worked almost instantly for our family on many occasions. Thank you, Lisa. Absolutely. And let's see, Spongia seems like a good match, but doesn't work for my mom, or didn't work for my mom. She had a deep hello cough, worse at night. Yeah, well, there are many medicines from which to choose. I'm giving you the ones that are kind of the top medicines. All right, people are answering questions for each other. Kelly Self helps me with jaundice. You bet. Why is that? Why is that? Think yellow. Jaundice causes the sclera of the eyes to turn yellow. And it causes the gums often to turn yellow, and the skin has a yellowishness to them to it as well. And so it is an excellent medicine for that. Yeah, thumbs up. All right. Hepar sulf, I use it when I used to get a hint of a sore throat, and most of the time I nip it. Good job, Heather. Don't forget to share this video. Yes, thank you very much. Hepar sulf for postnasal drip. I don't know that I would say that. It's not for postnasal drip. What we're talking about is if these symptoms that I'm describing to you fit the person who has the postnasal drip, it indeed may be useful. When would Drosera be used with a cough? Didn't we talk about Drosera? I think we talked about Drosera last week. Yes. And let's see what else we've got. Do check out what I said last week, my friends, because it can really be very useful. Someone said that everyone's been sick for 5 weeks. Often what I like to use whooping cough is called the 100-day cough. And so often there is a cough that lasts so long, 100 days. The medicine I talked about it last week, is often Drosera. So that is something to consider if it does fit Drosera. My friends, what I'm teaching you here is do not just listen to what I've said and say, oh, I'll use that. No, I want you to get that information, jot it down, and then go to a Materia Medica. Either my Materia Medica and read up on it, make sure that it fits the person that you're treating, that you're working with, or go online for free, and you will find a more intense Materia Medica that sometimes can be complicated to those who are new to this, which is why I encourage people to use something like this. You can go to Dr. James Tyler Kent's Materia Medica online. You can go to Dr. Boraki's Materia Medica online. You can go to Dr. Fatak. These are all wonderful sources of free information should you not have a Materia Medica at home. Okay. Saline sinus rinse, not mask. No kidding. Okay, what to take for a cough that's been around for 2 months after? Okay, I just talked about that. Dry cough, but also productive with phlegm. Well, if it's a dry cough, are you sure it's still productive with phlegm? Because are you saying that it's alternating between being a dry cough or being a cough that is productive with phlegm? Because productive with phlegm means it's not dry. All righty, my friends. I use these medicines generally in a 30 because these are for acutes. Sometimes a 200, but I often use them in a 30. But you can use 30 or 200. Fatigue that lingers a week or two after the illness has passed. I think gelsemium is one of our best medicines for fatigue that lasts. Ailments from never well since a particular cold or flu or something like that is an acute, meaning it has a natural beginning and a natural end, and particularly if there's fatigue. Gelsemium is one of my favorites, but sulfur is a good second choice. All righty. What is someone is better in cool air, desires cool fresh air, but is prone to being cold and wants to have warm pack on them most of the time? What do you think? Kristen, read Pulsatilla before you make a choice. I mean, that sounds like a lot of Pulsatilla there, but make sure that you've read up on it. All right, my friends, we will continue with these kinds of conditions into next week. And so I will see you next Monday. God bless you. Until then, see you next Monday. Get prepared for the holidays. It's a good time of the year. Bye now.
With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. It's elementary with arnica head, arsenica fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more infirm. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Bellasil red and arnica head, drosera bark, ignatia dark, source of frigid and cupim to rigid, and crude itches, calicum, barnicum, let it melt on your gum, bovies to wheat are some great ways to treat ya. La 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 la, homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. It's elementary with arnica head, arsenica fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more infirm. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Belisol red and arnica hydrocera bark ignatia dark source of frigid and cuprum to rigid and crude itches calica bonicum let it melt on your gumbo vista wheat are some great ways to treat ya la 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 homeopathic protocols learn your remedies. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa no dairy, it's elementary with arnica head, arsenicum fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more infirm. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Belisol red and arnica hydrocera bark ignatia dark source of frigid and cuprum to rigid and crude itches calica bonicum let it melt on your gumbo vista wheat are some great ways to treat ya la 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 homeopathic protocols learn your remedies.